Year 1 and 2, I'm going to go through your maths for this week with you. So this week we are looking at division. So I've got my division symbol here. Now remember, when we divide, we are splitting a number into equal parts or equal groups. So I've got a division number sentence here. I've got 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Now I've drawn my two groups here, and I've drawn my 10 dots and I've shared them equally between my two groups. And when I get up to 10, I've got 5 dots in each group, as I've shared it equally between the two groups. Now on day 1, we are going to be thinking about factors, which is something new that we haven't looked at before. Now factors are two numbers that can be multiplied together to make a certain number. Okay, so I've written here factor pairs, they come in pairs. Now I've written 2 times 4 equals 8. So 2 and 4 are factors of 8, they are a factor pair. Now we can also use factors to think about division. So we're sticking with our 2 and 4 as our factor pair of 8, and I've written 2 possible division number sentences that we could write with this factor pair. Now I've written 8 divided by 2 equals 4, but if we switch the factor pair around, we also get 8 divided by 4 equals 2. Now we're going to be using part-whole models to think about our factors today. So I've got my part-whole model here, and remember our whole goes at the top. So 20 is my whole. Now 5 is one of the factors of 20. But as you can see, there's a missing factor here. Now this is what you're going to be doing today. You are going to be finding the missing factors. Now to do this, we can use arrays. So I'm going to show you how I would work out the missing factor. So I've drawn my arrays here, and remember arrays are just rows of dots that help us, equal rows of dots, that help us to work out multiplication and division. Okay, so I've drawn my 20 dots, but because I know that 5 is a factor of 20, I've drawn 5 dots in each row, and I've counted carefully as I draw each dot until I get to 20. And then what I need to do to find the missing factor is to count the number of rows that I've got. So I'm going to count them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the missing factor is 4. So 5 and 4 are a factor pair of 20. So again, there's 2 possible division number sentences that we could write. We could write 20 divided by 5 equals 4. But if we swap them around, we could also write 20 divided by 4 equals 5. So that's day 1. On day 2, you are still, so you're getting extra practice, you're still going to be using arrays to solve division number sentences. So I've got a different set of arrays here, and these are 2 division number sentences that we could write from this set of arrays. Now I've got 12 dots in total, and there's 4 dots in each row. But if I count the rows, I've got 1, 2, 3 rows. So we could write 12 divided by 4 equals 3. But as we know, they are factor pairs, so we can also swap them around, and we can also say that 12 divided by 3 equals 4. There's 2 possibilities. Okay, so your first task on day 2, you have got some arrays on your learning grid. Now I've drawn them here, but you've got a picture of them on your grid as well. And you are going to try and find the 2 possible division number sentences that we could make from this arrays. Now there's 3 steps to do this, okay? So the first thing you need to do is count the total number of dots, because that's going to tell you your whole, like when we had 20 or 12, the larger number that we're starting with. And then you need to count the number of dots in each of the rows, because it should be the same, they're equal groups. And then finally, you need to count how many rows you've got, like we did before. Now, I'm not going to do this one for you because I want you to do this at home. So that's your first task. Now, your second task is you are going to have some division number sentences that I've written for you, and this time I want you to draw the arrays yourself to find the answer. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I would draw my arrays to solve this question. So we've got 18 divided by 3, and we're finding the answer. So let me get something to lean on. So I'm going to draw my 18 dots. I'm going to count carefully, and you can count with me at home if you want to. But I need to have 3 dots in each row for equal groups of 3. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So let's have a look. So here is my arrays. And remember, the missing step, the step we haven't done yet, is we need to count how many rows we've got to find the answer. So let's count them. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer is 6. There are 3 groups of 6 in the number 18. Okay. Now on day 3, we're not going to be using arrays. We are going to be using the bar model, because the bar model is also another really useful way that can help us to solve division questions. Okay, now this is a bar model here that I've drawn, and at the top here I've put the number 50. Now the number 50 is my whole, which is why I've got these little brackets at the top here to show you that this is the whole bar represents the number 50. Okay, and I've split my bar, or my number 50, into 5 parts. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Now we know from our 5 times table and counting up in our 5s, which I know you are all fabulous at, that there are 10 groups of 5 in the number 50. So inside each of my equal parts, I've written the number 10. So my division number sentence for this bar model would be 15 divided by 5 equals 10. Now I know you would have remembered from what I've just said about the factor pairs that we could also swap them around. But when we're thinking about the bar model, the number of parts we have in the bar tells us what we are dividing by. So I'm not going to swap them around this time. I'm just going to stick with this number sentence. Now you are going to be drawing bar models to help you to solve some questions. Now I've got a word problem here that I'm going to read to you. Okay, so it says, Katie, Tommy and Sam have 15 sweets to share. How many sweets will they each get? Now I've drawn my bar model here. Now I've put, we know that our whole, we've got 15 sweets. That's what we're starting with. So that's why I've written the number 15 at the top here and drawn my little bracket. Now, we need to think about how many people we're sharing these sweets between. So we've got Katie, Tommy and Sam. So we've got 3 friends that are sharing the sweets. So I've split my bar model into 3 parts. Now a little trick to remember when you're drawing them is that I only need to draw 2 lines. If I draw 3 lines, it's going to end up being split into 4 parts, and we only want 3 parts. So you just need to draw 2 lines. Okay? Now what we need to do to work out how to share the sweets is to draw our dots in each of the sections as we go. And by the time we get to 15, when we've drawn 15 dots, you can count how many dots you've got in each section, and it should be the same because remember we're splitting them into equal groups, and that will tell you your answer. That will tell you the answer to 15 divided by 3. Now finally, on day 4, you are going to be solving lots of word problems, so practicing your reading as well. Now let me read this word problem to you. I cut a pizza into 21 slices to share with 7 friends. How many slices will they each get? Now today, day 4 I should say, you are going to be able to choose which method you would like to use. So you can think about the previous days in the week, which one did you find the most helpful? Okay, now I've drawn both of them to show you. And then when you're solving your questions on day 4, you can choose for yourself. Okay, so I've drawn my arrays on one side and I've drawn my bar model on the other side. Okay, so remember we had 21 slices of pizza and we had 7 friends. So I've drawn my dots. I've drawn my rows of 7 dots because that's how many friends we're sharing it between. And I've counted and carefully until I get to 21. And then when I count the number of rows, that's going to tell me how many slices they each get. Whereas on this side, I've drawn my bar model. I've written 21 at the top because that was my whole. And I've split my bar into 7 parts. So when I'm drawing my dots, I can draw my 21 dots, sharing them equally between each part as I go. And then I can count how many is in each section. And the same as the arrays when we're counting the rows, that will tell me how many slices of pizza they each get. So I hope that was helpful and I hope you have a good week. I miss you all lots. Bye.